Alright, so in our first video, I did the history of this model 1920. And what happened is post-World War I, Star ended up having a lot of profits. So they decided to expand and get into some research and development for a larger, more powerful handgun, which happened to coincide at the same time with the Spanish military, and like most countries, World War I was a game changer. They learned a lot of lessons. A lot of militaries around the world were updating to new firearms. So Spain, which a lot of the Spanish gun makers take a very popular, usually US, either a Colt or Browning design, doesn't have to be a US type gun, or Smith & Wesson revolvers, and make some sort of a clone of them. And they did it in a way where they kept the price competitive and a lot lower than other companies. So I guess the 1911, this is an A1, it isn't a World War I version, but the 1911 caught everyone's attention. And they already had experience modifying John Browning designed guns. So this was another iconic gun. Went on to be in service to the U.S. military for over 80 years. So when they seen this, they said, well, how can we go about producing something like this? And again, this is in a 9mm Largo, which is not the same as a 45 ACP, but still is a fairly, it's comparable to like a 38 Super, okay? A little bit more powerful than a 9mm Luger, but, you know, that's the way it goes. And that was what the Spanish military was using in the Campo Gria pistols. So we heard in the history that Spain was looking for the Spanish military is looking for a new gun. So Star come up with this gun and put it in the trials, didn't succeed. So what they did when they designed this pistol is a throwback to their earlier smaller guns is the slide mounted safety. Now how this works, if you look in there, you have this lever. There's a little drum in there that you rotate, and as you see, it totally blocks the firing pin. There's a two-piece firing pin. You rotate the thing back, it exposes the free floater that hits the other half of the firing pin and discharges the gun. So that was different and was kind of cost saving, I guess, in a way, maybe not as much of a cost saver. But the differences are they had the slide mounted safety, where we have the frame mounted safety here. Also what they decided to do is the way the 1911 is, there's the mainspring housing, which is a flat spring. They changed it to where they have a solid grip with just a coil spring in here that trips the hammer. Pretty simple. Drill that out. The other thing they did, if you notice, the 45 has these grooves machined into the slide, where this here, that little safety, you have the knurled edges here and here, and that is what you used to grasp the gun and cock it, okay? Which that was a cost-saving advantage there. Still have, well, this one has a lanyard loop, and they redesigned the internals where anyone who's familiar with the 1911 knows that this trigger has two bars that slides back. Well, they simplified the internal mechanism. This just trigger swings on a pivot, you know, a point. It doesn't have two bars and hits a disconnector, and they simplify the internal mechanism, which does work just as fine as this. Less complicated, less machining. This gun also has fixed sights, where I believe the 1911 is driftable, okay, which is another machining step. Also, internally, the extractor is inside the slide. Okay, and this means you have to drill, machining and that, where on the Star, the extractor is milled out and is mounted externally with a pin going down. Now, most of these old 9mm Largo pistols you will find with a damaged extractor, like this one here came to me that way. How that happens is people shoot the wrong ammunition. 9mm Steyr, 9mm Luger, 38 Super something, and the way the cases are, and again I will do a video on the ammunition, that is why a lot of these old 9mm Largo guns you will find with a screwed up extractor, so be ready to get that replaced. I had to fabricate that one myself. So those are the things that they did to economize. They changed the internal mechanisms, a lot of little machining features, which got their gun up and running at a lower cost. But as you can see, other than some of these oddities with the sights and with the safety, this basically is pretty much a straightforward copy of the 1911. Okay, it's just a modified version. Actually, this fits in the hand pretty good. It's a nice pistol. Okay, now we'll get a closer look. Here are the markings. The crown and symbol, I guess, is the Civil Guard emblem. And there's your roll on the side, Star's logo. And I think the 9/38, I guess, is there. I guess they screwed up, and then when they had to mill out that, they had to restamp it down there. And the little made in Spain means this gun probably went to Europe at one time, or Canada. And we have nice wooden grips, the diamond there, the checkering, much like the 1911. And like I said, solid back strap, lanyard ring, and fairly well machined and made. And like I said, different style extractor, and the only thing you have to grasp the slide is these little two knurled areas on the safety. And again, just like the 1911 bushing. And we'll take a look at the other sides. The guns were issued with 2 magazines serial numbered to the gun with the Civil Guard emblem on them. Okay, and there's your view from that side. And the top view. Get a good look at that sight. Fairly basic gun, but it's a well-made gun. It's machined very well. It's solid. Like I said, pretty high quality example. Star made fairly high quality handguns. So let's go into the field stripping. Alright, like I said, to get it apart, mag release is in the same place, and just like the 1911, we will push down, rotate this, being very careful. Don't want to rotate that way. I had to do that off camera, but you rotate the barrel bushing, and as you see, just like the 1911, and that went that way, so we'll worry about this thing later. And you go, draw back, just like the 1911, push this out, there's a detent in that, line it up. There we go. And then you slide, and that all comes off. Like that. So there's your internals, very similar, simplified way of doing it. And we'll take the spring. Here's the cap pull off. So you got a cap which is considerably longer than the 1911. Let's get the spring out. And then the bushing, this one here, I can't remember. It's been so long since I took this gun apart. I think it goes just like the 1911 one way, and then you got to rotate it the other way to get it out. Okay, so just like you go to this way with it, relieve the spring, rotate it around, and then it comes out. Just like on the 1911, almost identical. And you see you have the swinging link lock up, just like 1911. And we get the barrel out. Almost identical. It has the two grooves. I think what they did for locking up, just like the 1911, I think what they did on other models is they eliminated it to just one groove instead of the two. But this one retains just about a lot of features of the 1911. Okay? And again, you reassemble it the same way. If you can take a 1911 apart, you use the same thing with this pistol here. Same identical way of doing it. Give it a try anyway. Okay. Slide back. Get your link lined up. Back to your cutout and slide. That drops right down in there. And I'm not going to do it because it's going to be difficult for me, but again, the same thing, identical to the 1911. Yep. Okay, there we go. Back together again. I'm sorry for that. My hand, a lot of these detailed strippings are becoming more difficult for me. But still, it's a very nice gun. Kind of a rare gun, like I said, with the low numbers. You know, under 4,000 of them made to survive this long. Makes it fairly interesting. So there we go with the model 1920. And next up, we'll review the model 1921. I don't know if I have them all. I think I have a 21, 22, and maybe the 23. But that's another thing about Star and the Spanish gun makers. During production, okay, like I said, they needed 24,000 of these. Okay, not 4,000. They made changes as they went. They were like redesigning the gun and improving it as they went along. Okay, so that's why you get these variations until they kind of finalized it into the Model A, which we know. We had the A and the B. The B was just the 9mm. But that's the start of this Star series of handguns. Alright, hit the like button and subscribe and stay tuned.